The United States once planned to invade Canada, occupy its cities, and cut it off from the rest of the world. And no, this wasn't in the 1700s. This was in the 1930s. As in, your grandparents were alive. Welcome to Not Your Average History, where we expose hidden history you should have learned about in school. And this is the story of War Plan Red. So why would the United States ever plan something like this? Because in the years after World War I, the world wasn't as stable as it looked. The US and Britain weren't enemies, but they weren't exactly allies either. And if another global war broke out, there was one problem the US couldn't ignore: Canada. At the time, Canada was part of the British Commonwealth, still closely aligned with Britain, which meant if the United States ever went to war with Britain, Canada wouldn't just be nearby. It would be the most immediate place Britain could operate from. And that was way too close for comfort. So the United States military created a plan, a detailed official strategy for how to invade Canada. It was called War Plan Red, and it started with one critical target: Halifax, Nova Scotia. Halifax wasn't just another city. It had a deep, ice-free harbor, one of the closest major ports in North America to Europe, which made it a natural staging point for British ships crossing the Atlantic. In other words, if war came, Halifax would likely be one of the first places British forces arrived. Ships, troops, supplies, everything would funnel through Halifax. So the goal was to move fast and secure the city, denying the port to British forces before they could use it. But Halifax was just the beginning. War Plan Red wasn't a rough idea. It was a fully developed strategy, routes mapped out, and targets identified. American forces would move north from multiple directions, from Vermont toward Montreal, from the Midwest into central Canada, and from the west toward Vancouver. The goal wasn't just to invade, it was to overwhelm Canada before it could organize a defense. At the same time, they planned to cripple the country's infrastructure: rail lines, bridges, communication systems. The idea was to isolate Canada, cut it off internally, and from the rest of the world. And in some early versions of the plan, there was even discussion of using chemical weapons. Not as a first move, but as a way to quickly break resistance if needed. This wasn't because the US wanted to invade Canada. It's because the military plans for worst-case scenarios, even the ones that seem unthinkable. But the United States wasn't the only country making plans. Canada had one too. It was called Defense Scheme Number 1. But Canada's strategy was completely different, because they understood something the US didn't have to worry about. In a full-scale war, they were outmatched. In population, in industry, they couldn't win a prolonged fight. So instead of waiting to be invaded, their plan was to strike first. Canadian forces would move south into the United States, targeting cities like Seattle, Minneapolis, and even as far east as Albany, New York. The goal wasn't to hold territory, it was to disrupt, slow the US down, and buy time. Because the expectation was they would eventually have to retreat back into Canada, where they could defend until British reinforcements arrived. In other words, both countries had plans to invade each other. But none of it ever happened, because within a few years, the world changed. The United States and Britain became allies in World War II, and plans like War Plan Red were ultimately set aside. The documents wouldn't even become public until decades later. But for a brief moment in history, the United States and Canada weren't just neighbors. They were both preparing for war with each other. And now you know what could have been between the United States and their friendly neighbors to the north. This is Not Your Average History.